402. Project Integration Management. As always, we will begin with a question and we will go through the explanation and review of the answer. Which of the following is unsuitable to be included into the project charter? The options are A. Requirements from the stakeholders, B. Aim of the project, C. Method of staff acquisition, and D. Summary of the budget and schedule. Keep this question in mind while we go through the following slides. We'll begin with talking about what is a project charter. A project charter is a document which contains information about the project, as well as definition outlining the project that is to be implemented. So it's very simple. A project charter, all it is a document and it contains information about the project. So the information could be its background, aim, so things like why we're doing it in the first place, what do we hope to achieve, and the content, what do you actually want to do in order to achieve the aim. So it's just a document which contains some information about the project. And it also contains the definition outlining the project and how to implement them. It is a document that declares officially the commencement of an authorized project of corporations and organizations, which determines issues such as when the project is to be initiated and how the project activities is to be comprehensively managed and regulated. So the issues that we want to talk about, so the issues that we're talking about in the project charter are going to be things like when and how. So in this case, quite often you'll be using the W's. So what are the W's? So we have why. You may also have who. You may also have how, as we have here. When, so that could be a timeline. And what you're going to do in order to achieve it. So the W's will be quite often answered in the project charter. The corporations and organizations are going to also be included in the project charter. So in order to go into more detail, the main contents of a project charter are listed below. First of all, you may have the requirements from the stakeholders. So what do you need to have? What is the point of this? Why are you going to do this project? So then you would have an aim of the project. Now, quite often it is easy to confuse the difference between an aim and a requirement. But quite simply, what an aim is the targets that you hope to achieve in order to meet the requirements. So let me write this down. So the aim is a set of targets in order to meet the requirements. Okay, and that's that. Then you have the deliverables of the project, and then you have the stakeholders' participation and influence. So what are the stakeholders going to do in the project, and how are they going to influence the outcome of the project? You'd also have the outline of the project. So the requirements regarding the outcome of the project, the preconditions and limiting conditions in relation to the involved corporations and the related organizations. You may also write down, so in this case it will be answering the who question. You may also have the project manager, so it will be the manager, so whoever is appointed to be the project manager. You may also have some more important roles laid down in your charter, and you'd have the summary of the budget. This is very important, of course. And then you have the outline of the schedule. So this will be the when. Another very important question, so we have the 5 W's, but of course an extremely important question is how much? Basically everything becomes governed by how much does a project cost. So the summary of the budget is extremely important. So, what do we do to carry on with the project? Well, in order to comprehensively manage and adjust the project must be officially approved by the stakeholders. So you need to have an approval by the stakeholders on the project. So you have the approval from the stakeholders. To that purpose, the drawn up project charter will be announced by the stakeholder after the official approval. Again, after the acceptance of the publication of the project charter and the official commencement of the project, a project manager will be appointed. It's important to have a project manager, of course, because you need somebody to organize and lead. The project integration management process involves with 5 stages which are described in the next slide. So in this slide we'll be talking about the project integration management process. And we have 5 key steps. Firstly, initiating process group. You need to come up with a project charter and a rough description of the project scope. This is where it all begins, coming up with a project charter and a rough description of the project. Number 2, planning process group. Produce a project management plan. You need to have a plan to see where you're going. Third, executing process group. You need to direct and manage project implementation. This is the stage where you're going to be implementing the project and it needs to be directed and managed. Fourth, monitoring and controlling process group. You need to conduct the monitoring control and integrated change control processes of the project. So this is talking about monitoring, control, and integrated change control processes during the project. And number 5, closing process group. This is just about completing the project once it is finished. So if we now look at the original question, which of the following is unsuitable to be included into the project charter? A, requirements from the stakeholders. Well, if we remember the definition of the project charter, we see that requirements from the stakeholders we do put into the project charter. Similarly, with the aim of the project, that should definitely be in the project charter. C, method of staff acquisition. This is not so clear. D, summary of the budget and schedule. This is definitely something that needs to be in the project charter. So we can see, either by the process of elimination or simply by looking at the answers, you can see that the method of staff acquisition is the only choice in the question where we could say, in fact, possibly it is unsuitable to be put into the project charter. Every other choice should definitely be in the project charter. So we say that C, we could say, is we do not need. So the answer is for the most unsuitable to be included in the project charter. We say then the answer is C, the most unsuitable choice to be put in a project charter is staff acquisition. Methods. Furthermore, the factors concerning the methods of procurement in answer C should be incorporated into the content of the plan for the management of the project personnel by the planning process group mentioned in the 5 processes above.